This is you. You're 22 years old, and your only weapon has never been a gun. It's a calculator. While every kid on your block was learning how to bag dimes on the corner, you were in your room, hunched over a cracked laptop your mother bought in 12 painful installments, teaching yourself how money works, not how to spend it, how to move it, how to hide it, how to make it disappear without a trace. Your mother cleans office buildings at night. Every month, she leaves a handwritten budget on the fridge, and every month, the numbers don't add up. There's always more month than money. You start helping her at 14. You renegotiate her phone bill. You find cheaper electricity. You calculate exactly how much rice and beans you need to survive a week on $47. Numbers become your language. The only language that never lies. By 17, the corner boys notice. A local dealer named Twist hands you a shoebox full of crumpled 20s that smell like weed and sweat. You count it 3 times and hand him a piece of paper that says $11,420. He stares at the number and says, nobody has ever told him exactly how much he made before. He's been guessing his whole life. Word spreads. You start counting for 2 dealers, then 4, then an entire block. You never touch the product. You never hold a weapon. You just make the numbers make sense. To them, it's sorcery, and sorcerers are valuable. Then one night, a black Escalade pulls up to your building. A man steps out wearing a polo shirt and a gold watch that costs more than your mother's annual salary. He doesn't look like a gangster. But the 2 men flanking him, stone-faced with prison tattoos, crawling up their necks, tell a different story. He says the Bloods need someone who understands money. Not street money, real money, millions that come in cash and need to go out clean. Shell companies, ghost accounts, layered transactions that not even the feds can trace. You tell him you're not from the streets. He smiles and says that's exactly why they want you. The streets are full of soldiers, but soldiers can't count past 10 without taking off their shoes. He places a thick envelope on your kitchen table. $10,000 in crisp hundreds. Your mother's bedroom light is off. She has to be up in 4 hours to scrub floors. $10,000 is 5 months of her salary. You know you should throw it away. But you also know her knees are giving out. And the surgery she needs costs money you'll never make bagging groceries. You pick up the envelope. And without a single gunshot, you sell your soul to the Bloods. They start you on 6 corners in Brownsville. Cash comes in shoeboxes, backpacks, and once inside, a hollowed-out teddy bear. Within a week, you've built a system that tracks every dollar from street sale to stash house. Color-coded, time-stamped. The lieutenant who recruited you stares at your spreadsheet and says nobody in 20 years has shown him where the money actually goes. Within a month, you're handling districts. You learn to build shell companies on paper. Laundromats that wash more money than clothes. Barbershops that cut more invoices than hair. A used car lot that sells vehicles nobody ever drives. The money goes in dirty and comes out so clean it could pass an IRS audit. They give you a name. The Ledger. You move your mother out of the projects. You tell her you work for a financial consulting firm. She doesn't ask questions. You buy her new knees. Real surgery, real hospital. The day she walks without pain for the first time in years, she hugs you and cries. Under that warmth, something cold is growing, because every dollar in your spreadsheet has a shadow behind it, and those shadows are shaped like body bags. At 3 months, you meet the boss. He runs the empire from a modest brownstone in Bed-Stuy. No flashy cars, no visible guards. He's in his 50s, slim, with reading glasses and a voice like a college professor. He asks you to explain your system in detail. You do. He listens without interrupting, spooning oatmeal into his mouth like you're discussing the weather. When you finish, he says you are now the most important person in his organization. More important than any lieutenant or enforcer. Because soldiers are replaceable. But someone who can make $50 million disappear without a trace is irreplaceable. Then he leans forward. He says irreplaceable people live comfortable lives, but they never leave. He says it with a smile. His eyes don't smile at all. You walk out understanding the deal. You are no longer an employee. You are a prisoner with a salary. For 2 years, you become the invisible engine. Money flows from the streets into 47 shell companies across 6 states. It passes through car washes, nail salons, food trucks, and check-cashing stores. From there, it moves offshore, loops back as business loans and real estate. The IRS sees a successful business empire. You see a washing machine for blood money. You develop rules. You never carry cash. You never visit stash houses. You communicate through apps that auto-delete after 60 seconds. You are a ghost in the machine, and that invisibility is your armor. But invisibility has a price. You can't date. You can't make friends. Every new face is a potential informant. Your world shrinks to 3 things: your laptop, your spreadsheets, and the quiet apartment where your mother still brags about her son, the businessman every Thanksgiving. You smile and eat turkey and feel the lie rotting in your chest. Then the cracks begin. A discrepancy of $800 in Flatbush. You trace it to a corner boy skimming. You report it. The kid disappears 2 days later. You don't ask where. You adjust the spreadsheet and move on. But the discrepancies keep coming. 500 here, 2,000 there. Multiple lieutenants skimming. You start covering the gaps, shifting money between accounts, patching holes, like a mechanic holding an engine together with tape and prayer. Because if the books don't balance, the boss doesn't blame the thieves. He blames the bookkeeper. For 8 months you keep it together. You lose weight. You stop sleeping. You develop a twitch in your left eye that won't go away. Then comes the call. Tuesday night. 3 monitors glowing in the dark. Your phone buzzes. Blank caller ID. You answer. The boss's voice. Calm. Almost polite. He says 4 words. I want the books. Your heart stops. The boss doesn't ask for the books to check your work. He asks for the books when someone needs to die. You open the master spreadsheet. You trace every transaction for the past 6 months, and that's when you see it. A pattern hidden so deep you missed it for months. Someone has been siphoning money through microtransactions, tiny amounts pulled from dozens of accounts simultaneously, like a parasite drinking from every vein at once. Individually invisible. Together, they add up to $4.7 million. You trace the routing numbers. You follow the digital trail through 3 shell companies and 2 offshore accounts. Every single one leads back to you. Your accounts, your shell companies, your digital signatures. Someone framed you. Someone used your own system against you and built a trail so clean it looks like a confession. You have 6 hours before you sit in front of the most dangerous man in New York. And he's going to ask one question. Where is my money? Right now, you don't have an answer. You arrive at the brownstone at midnight. 2 men pat you down. They take your phone, but not your laptop. The boss is in the dining room. 2 enforcers behind him. Sitting to his left is Rook, the boss's right hand, a former stick-up kid turned strategist who rose by being smarter and more ruthless than everyone around him. Rook doesn't look at you when you walk in. Bad sign. For 40 minutes, you walk the boss through every number. Your voice is steady. Your insides are dissolving. You show him the discrepancy. 4.7 million. The boss asks where the money is. His voice is soft, the way a doctor sounds before a terminal diagnosis. You tell him you didn't take it. You explain the microtransactions, the planted digital signatures, the false trail built through your own system. You speak in numbers because numbers are the only language you trust. The boss turns to Rook and asks if what you're saying is possible. Rook shrugs. Anyone with access could have done it. The boss asks who has access. You answer honestly. You and 3 lieutenants. Rook is one of them. The temperature drops. Rook's jaw tightens. He looks at you for the first time, and what you see isn't anger. It's calculation. The boss gives you 72 hours to find his money and bring a name. Then he walks out. Rook stops at the door. He says, if you need access to anything, come to him. His voice is helpful, cooperative. That's exactly when you know. Because in an organization built on paranoia, the person offering the most help is the one who needs you to fail. 72 hours. You don't sleep. You pull every transaction from the last 18 months. Hundreds of thousands of entries. You build a forensic timeline. The siphoning started 7 months ago, right after the Newark expansion. Whoever did this waited until the volume was high enough to cover the noise. Smart. Patient. This isn't a corner boy skimming 20s. This is someone who understands the system almost as well as you do. You trace the money to a shell company called Green Arch Holdings. You built it 8 months ago, but someone modified the routing instructions 3 weeks later. From an IP address you don't recognize, at 2:47 a.m. on a Thursday, you pull your records. That night, you were in a meeting at the Brownstone. Only 4 people knew you'd be away from your system at that moment. The boss, Rook, and 2 junior lieutenants. You eliminate the boss. He doesn't steal from himself. You eliminate the juniors. They don't have the technical knowledge. That leaves Rook. You dig into his quiet money. You find a property in Miami bought 6 months ago through a trust linked to Rook's cousin. $1.2 million. His salary doesn't support that. $4.7 million in stolen cash does. You have proof. But Rook knows you're looking. He offered to help so he can monitor your progress. You are in a race against a man who kills for a living. And your only weapons are a laptop and a spreadsheet. You copy the evidence onto 3 encrypted USB drives. 1 in your apartment, 1 in a storage locker, 1 inside the battery compartment of your mother's old radio, the one she never uses but refuses to throw away. If something happens to you, the truth survives. On the second night, Rook makes his move. You're walking to your car when a van pulls up. 2 of Rook's personal soldiers jump out. This isn't an official order. This is a cleanup job. You run. You sprint down an alley, vault a chain link fence, cut through a parking garage. They're bigger and faster, but you know these streets the way you know your spreadsheets. You lose them in the basement of a housing project, crouching behind a boiler, listening to their footsteps above you. Your heart slamming so hard, you're afraid they'll hear it. They leave. You can't go home. You can't go to your mother's. You can't use your phone. You are one man with a laptop and 3 USB drives against an army. You make a decision. You're walking into the Brownstone and presenting the evidence face to face. Suicide or salvation. No middle ground. But first, insurance. In a 24-hour laundromat, you write an email. Every piece of evidence attached. Addressed to a federal prosecutor, a journalist, and your mother. Scheduled to send in 48 hours. If you're alive, you cancel it. If you're not, the empire burns. You arrive at the Brownstone at dawn on the 3rd day. 60 hours without sleep. Bloodshot eyes, steady hands. You open the laptop. You show the boss everything. The microtransactions, Green Arch, the modified routing, the IP address, the timestamp proving you were in this room when the system was breached, and then the Miami property, the trust fund, the cousin. 1.2 million that Rook's income can't explain. The boss studies the screen. He closes the laptop gently, the way you'd close a Bible after reading a passage that confirmed your worst fear. He looks at Rook. Rook stands up. He starts talking fast. He says you fabricated it. He says you're the rat. His voice is rising. The calm strategist is gone. What's left is a cornered animal. The boss raises one hand. Silence. He looks at you. One question. Can you rebuild the system without Rook's access? You say yes. He looks at the enforcers. A nod so small you almost miss it. They step forward. Rook reaches for something in his jacket. He never gets there. They grab him. He screams your name. They drag him towards the back door, the one that leads to the basement, the one nobody comes back from. The screaming stops. The boss says you did well. Then he says the thing that kills the last spark of hope in your chest. He says now you understand what happens when someone tries to leave with his money. He trusts you understand the lesson. You walk out into the gray morning. You are alive. But standing on that sidewalk, you realize the truth. You didn't win. You survived another day inside a cage you built with your own hands. The locks are made of numbers. Only you have the key, which means only you can never leave. 6 months later, 3 monitors glowing, everything clean. The machine works perfectly. Your phone buzzes. Blank caller ID. The boss's voice. There's a kid, 20 years old, good with numbers. Grew up in the Bronx, counting cash for corner boys. The boss says the kid reminds him of someone. He wants you to go recruit him. You close your eyes. You see yourself at 22. The envelope on the kitchen table. The choice. The trap. You open your eyes. You say you'll handle it. And the cycle begins again.